Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Boss Rush. We're back here again on Fridays, as always, to talk about video game industry news, nonsense, all the stuff that we've been playing, hot takes, spicy takes, and maybe not so spicy takes. My name is Chris Melosinos, and I am over here at AWS as the principal evangelist for video games. And my co-host, as always, with me is, this way.
Susan Cummings, pleasure to be here. Chris, you're such a natural at this. You should be like a TV host. You're so grown into this role.
Well, this is the radio voice. My wife's like, do not use that damn voice in the house. But we are also joined with us today, our special guests. Introduce yourself.
Hi. Hi, my name is Adam Boyes, CEO of Vivrato, and also fan of the show. Fan of the radio voice, the face for radio, Chris Melosinos.
Yes,
this
face
is
for radio.
Beautiful.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
That's
exactly.
Right. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Excited to be here.
Just make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, tell your friends, hit the alert button so you know when we go live every Friday. No, we don't have any of that here on LinkedIn. We're so happy to have Adam with us today, and unfortunately, Dean is not with us today because, with all the new stuff that's going on with GameSpeed, he is out there, working with Gina to build that business. So he's been pulled into all kinds of meetings. And Mark is off today. So we are thrilled, though, to have Adam joining us. And we want to hear all about your company and the stuff that's going on. And we're going to talk video games. And I see you got some good Lego behind you there. Good Pac-Man, good R2-D2. We got a couple. Oh, you got the Atari
Bowser,
VCS.
the Pac-Man. Yeah. It's got to do it.
I'm
been a fan since I was a kid, and then I got my kids into Lego, and then they became teenagers, and they're like, "I don't really want to build it with you anymore, Dad." And I was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll keep on keeping on."
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, Adam, since the first time we have you on the program,
sure.
Tell us a bit about what you're doing. Tell us about Vivrato and share, enlighten us, please.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Thanks for the intro. I've been in video games for quite a while. It's been really enlightening speaking with a lot of sort of students and people in the past sort of few months and talking about the yesteryear, the 1900s, when many of us started the video games industry. That's what my teenagers call it, the 1900s. But I've been in games for 29 years. Had a myriad of roles throughout my career, starting in quality assurance and then working my way up to production, business development, and then I was at PlayStation as VP of third party and the developer technology group. And then after that, I went to Iron Galaxy Studios, where I was a co-CEO with Chelsea Blasco. And that was a co-dev studio in Chicago. So I'm here now in Chicago. But 7 months ago, I left to start Vivrato. And it was started out of a passion of curiosity that I have. When my kids were born, I always said I want the most curious kids in the neighborhood, right, that are asking the most amount of questions. And that's how my company started. I started asking people, what is the biggest problem facing the games industry? Because we see headlines all the time, right? We see all this sky is falling, worst month ever, so the post-COVID knockdown that we're all feeling. And so when I started asking people what the biggest problem was, I started getting all these different answers. And that was kind of very confusing to me because, I asked 10 people and I got 10 different answers. Then I asked 30 people and I had 29 answers. I started writing them all down. So I ended up interviewing over 300 executives and sort of industry leaders. And I got 127 different number one problems in the industry. So I kind of realized in that moment that something is awry, something is amiss. That's sort of at the roots of what we're doing.
Right.
And the conclusion I came to, and I think we've come to as an industry, is that we're under a massive amount of cataclysmic change right now as an industry. How we find players, how we make games, how we build content, how we acquire users, so many different aspects. So I started a consultancy because I realized that a lot of companies that are larger companies, they're hiring big established consultants that don't really necessarily have the operational experience to really sort of haven't been to it. It's kind of like telling someone what it's like to be married and have kids, when you don't have any and you haven't been, and you're like, really, are you going to tell me how to be a parent? Okay, thank you. Yeah. And so I feel the same thing in the industry. So we wanted to build this operator-centric methodology and help in a bunch of different kind of companies, from publishers, developers, investors, navigate the challenging set and the changing ecosystem within the games industry. So been doing that for 7 months, worked with a myriad of amazing clients. And then I've been searching around for other like-minded people. So we've been sort of compiling this list. And I know, Susan, you were just at Develop, and there's some of our friends over there that were there. This is just scouring the earth for people that want to make a difference. And what I did then with that list of all the problems is I actually made this deck of cards, which I'm sure people have seen sort of on LinkedIn.
Yes, which I need to get a hold of one.
I know. I have some here. So like, who's holding the purse? And this is sort of 52 of the issues. No North Star. So there's just a lot of different problems.
Nice. I haven't seen this. This is
cute. Oh, you haven't, Susan? Okay,
I have not. No, I've been living under a rock apparently.
Yeah, no, I'll bring some out next time. Launch Long Jab. So what I love about it is it sort of encapsulates the summaries of some of the biggest, deepest issues that we have. And when people start to go through the deck, you can start to quickly understand what their problem set is and how they can potentially build solutions. Because I think that's the biggest challenge I see right now is we're talking about problems every headline every day. But I don't see a lot of us sort of contributing towards the solution set. Mm-hmm. How do we share best practices? And so this is another one that I know people are sort of facing right now, which is the pricey talent pool. So it's been an amazing journey, and it allows me to sort of talk to everyone from all aspects and facets of the gaming industry and the ecosystem, from, like I said, investors, developers, platforms, publishers. And it allows us to sort of gather a lot of information and knowledge about the problem set and the challenges we're facing. So it's been an amazing journey so far, learned a ton. And it's just really fascinating trying to navigate and build a little bit of guidance in these harder, more difficult times we're navigating.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, and I have the page up here right now, so you can check it out at www.vivrato.com. And
you can email us too at contact@vivrato.com as well if you want to reach out and just chat. I also have a booking link actually on LinkedIn, so you can just book a 50-minute chat too, because I think that's one of the things, like some of us we need to connect and talk about how we work towards solutions. And our motto is it takes a village, and I think it's really important for us to work together as an industry. And it's no longer the phase of where it's console war time or this publisher or that publisher, mobile versus VR. All that stuff's gone now. I truly feel like it's time for us to sort of solidify as an entire industry and help and support each other, not dunk on like new innovative things that are happening. So I'm a big believer in that, trying to bring more of that positivity and hope and collaboration to the table.
Awesome. What I love too is the network of professionals that you have on here. Awesome. So many friends from so many different backgrounds, right? That are involved with you.
Well, and that's what's I think important about that village approach is that, no one person can answer every question,
right?
But within a call or two, right? If we can become the Kevin Bacon of connecting solutions in the industry and we can bring people together, I think that's the right approach. Because I mean, you've been in the same situation where a lot of people, especially with like remote work, sometimes you just feel alone. And that's not the sense of the industry. The industry isn't alone, right? We have thousands of us all around the world that want to help and support each other. And it's one of the big pieces of advice I give to people, whether they're looking for work or whether they're students graduating. It's like, if you start reaching out and engage with other people and offer help and support, it'll be amazing sort of what energy you can sort of build into the industry.
I think it's true. I think that it's the trend I've noticed the most over the last, I feel like it started when Unity announced their runtime fees. Everyone it's when this started, right? We all banded together. We're like, F that. Yeah. And 10,000 people of us got into a Twitter space to talk about it. Yeah. And it was around then that I really started noticing the hive mentality that was taking place in the industry. Yeah. And I've definitely seen over the last year, people just wanting to help each other. I've been making more and more of my time available to just talk to people who are like up and coming. I think that I like what you're doing because I think it plays into this same topic that keeps coming up over and over again at Develop and other places, which is that teams need to be small and agile and keep their costs down. And we don't need to be hiring CFOs and COOs and all the rest of this stuff. We need to start sharing this stuff. And so I think this fractional trend is great because it plays into people working together and collaborating and doing what they do best,
Yeah, such a great point, Susan. I think, the monolithic sort of build that we've had historically in this games industry, and then people are almost looking for work to do versus really seeking amazing creative products and helping bring them to market and helping them connect with their players and stuff like that.
Yeah, it doesn't work in small companies, It's why, I've got a small development team right now. That my new team. We were 25 people, Tiny Rebel. We're now 8 people, 4 of them full time.
Wow.
And I don't want it to get any bigger than that. And we funded and are making a full game on the back of that. And the only reason I can do that is because I have a lot of good friends in the industry as advisors who are picking up the pieces and helping me on all the things that I don't know, because I'm not a marketing person, for example, so
it's not your job to know either, right? That's the thing. I think a lot of people, I was very, very blessed early in my career when I was at PlayStation to meet up with this incredible coach that helped me, Daniela Bryant, and her motto was "Is lonely at the top." Because when I entered PlayStation as a vice president, like it's a very sort of like important role, and I'm like, I don't never been a vice president before. How does this all work? And what I realized that togetherness of that reaching out to one another and creating a supportive space, we want to give that information. And a lot of people feel guilty if they don't have everything it takes to run. But no one should. Yeah. No one should. Like, it's not your job to know everything. The all-seeing, all-being, all-knowing.
Yeah. Well, and if you think you do, there are gaps that you don't understand that you have, right? Yeah. But when we talk about the power of marketing and everything else, I would be remiss, of course, if we didn't also. This thing was pitch freaking perfect. There you go. Yes, and that is where I first really Yeah. Excellent job. I mean, that was seat of your pants, disruptive ass marketing that worked so. I mean, not only did it work so well, it dismantled your biggest competitor's plans all in 21 seconds. I loved it. Can you tell us how that happened? I mean, this isn't something that you would typically see, right? Yeah. Sony. So since we have you on here, tell us what happened there.
Sure thing, Chris. And the irony of the guy that was a lieutenant in the console wars and now wanting to heal and improve the industry, I understand how ironic that can be for many people. It was really about, it was a cheeky time in social media where it's like, it was fun to have fun online, right? And it was a less serious time, right? The political landscape was more sort of fun, and the console war was fun, sort of like still had this air of fun. And so when Microsoft first announced their console, right, there was a lot of sort of TV sports originally with the announcement.
There's a supercut out there of that. TV sports.
Right. And so, and we were sort of watching inside at PlayStation. We're like, okay, I was almost like, felt like I was on a reality show. I'm like, this is not about the games, and we're all about the games. And so the real impetus for that commercial or that spot was that Microsoft had released the policy around how shared games work within the parent-child family ecosystem. And there's a parent account, and it was like a big explainer website pages. And it was like 10 pages. And I was watching my friends at Giant Bomb at the time. They did a 45-minute podcast about trying to interpret it, right? Of like, so does that mean that if you buy it, you own it, but then you can't trade it in? And I was like, I didn't know how it worked. And these guys are all, Jeff Gerstmann and Patrick Klepek, and, they're all trying to figure it out. And I'm just like, why is it so hard? And then I was like, we should do a website that's just like one page, and here are the 3 steps. And then it was like, wait, we should do a website with 1 step. And then I was on the flight to E3, and back then we would go, because I think that was my second year at PlayStation. So we're flying down, and I come up with the idea on the plane of like, hey, what if we did a bit or a trailer, kind of a commercial where we said, this is how you share games. And we just, it's someone handing a game to someone else. Thanks. Kind of thing. Or we didn't even have the buzz line. We actually filmed it with 7 different, that was easy, and thank you very much, and all these different things. But thanks is the one that sort of landed and felt the best. Yeah. But I never envisioned to be in it. I'm just like you, Chris. I'm a face for radio kind of guy. And so, but when I landed and I sent it out to our leadership team, they were kind of got excited about the idea of like, oh, this is really sort of, and we were a challenger brand, right? We were the underdog. Right. PS3 didn't perform as well as the Xbox did during that sort of battle, and we were losing pretty handily. And so there was this sense of, we've got to come back, we've got to fight back, and that sort of challenger brand mentality. So there was a lot of excitement around the idea. And the first person I pitched in person, because we landed and we went straight to, I can't remember the venue where the big E3 press conference we would have it at PlayStation. We had that big sort of stadium. And I go up to Shu Yoshida and I'm like, I have this idea for this commercial where like someone, maybe it's you and Jack Trenton are like sharing a game. And she was like, I love that idea. He's like, I would love to be in it. And I was like, great, let's go talk to Jack and maybe you guys can film it together. He's like, no, it's your idea. You should do it with me. And I was like, what? That's a no thanks. And so he was like, yep, if we're going to pitch it to everyone else. And then we went to Andy House, and who was a global CEO at the time. And he's like, I love it. Let's put it in the press conference. And then the last person we presented was to Jack Trenton. And he said, I love it. Take it out of my goddamn press conference. And his point was, this is not a press conference announcement.
Right.
You guys should be behind. We do have a slide where we talk about how you own your game 100%. And I know it's been a hot topic these days with DRMs and stuff like that. But he's like, go behind the scenes. And then when I announce the policy, you and Shu just tweet out the video at the same time. And so the production team to me are the unsung heroes, because they're the ones that came up with that whole like step one and the 15 second like everyone's like, oh, they're going to tell us about all the steps of how you share games. And so to me, Michael Brennison and his team crushed that. So they cut it, we had it ready. And then as soon as Jack announced it, boom, we hit tweet when it was Twitter and different times. And it went out to the world. And what's crazy to this day, Chris, I have dozens of people on the regular that says I was in that stadium when I watched the video on the screen. I was like, it wasn't on the screen. And they're like, yo, it was 100% in the press conference. I'm like, it was not in the press conference. So we got the Mandela effect for sure on.
I was going to say, is this the Mandela effect?
Yeah, I love
yeah, because people they'll argue with me. I'm like, okay, I kind of was in the video.
Exactly. No,
but I think it represented sort of the fun everyone was having around it. Maybe it was less fun for those guys, but
here's what I loved about that too is that it was so unexpected coming from the brand, knowing how precise and carefully curating stuff Sony typically is when everything from the way they architect things to the way they describe things. Intent is very much the same way. So it was just really refreshing to see that too. Anyway, I definitely needed to show that because I got you on here and now I had a chance to go ahead and show it once.
I'll push a little bit, Chris. I think the thing that I always loved was some of the irreverence that PlayStation played around with, like from Kevin Butler to they'd always been kind of playful.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I was like. I was feeling like, what can I do to contribute to, what would I do as a gamer? What are my feelings? And I think that was the part of why I think having Shu on stage and having him sort of be the indie whisperer and myself and just people that really engaged with not only the audience, but the partners, because we love this industry. Yeah. And I think that came through. So, but yeah, I definitely, most people wouldn't expect that coming from a big corporation.
That's right. Well, I would say as well, what I loved about the Kevin Butler thing is Kevin Butler turned around the PlayStation 3.
Right.
That ad campaign and this fictitious vice, it was a absolutely brilliant campaign.
Absolutely.
And then for Sony's decision to bring him out on stage as an official vice president was extraordinary.
Yeah.
Just extraordinary.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Very good. So thank you for walking us down lane. And also thanks for sharing with us, the work that your company is doing. Incredibly important, especially as we, kind of go forward. Before we jump into other news, something I was thinking about, having you on today and then knowing, what your company does. I'd done a post yesterday, and it was an article. It was the headline of this article I posted. Is this the end, right?
Is this the end? Yeah.
And you're reading it, and you're like, yeah, everything is falling apart and this and that. It was written in 1994 or 8, something like that, as an editorial, right? And we kind of go through these cycles of, nope, that's it. There's no way we're going to be able to move forward, right? And we get faced with this all the time. It's the end of consoles. It's the end of mobile play. It's the end of handheld machines. It's the end of PC gaming, right? And it's like, no, it turned out none of those things ended. We continue to expand. We're still just getting started. We're still nascent in the integration with other forms of content into a holistic experience. Like there's so much opportunity if we can just get out of our own heads, right? And kind of get out of our own way.
Yeah, I think one of the things, though, it's important to also keep in mind, though, Chris, is that there's sort of 3 layers of the world we're navigating right now, which is like the headlines, then there's the data, but then there's the people and their feelings. And so I think oftentimes, and I've had this conversation before, where like people are like, oh, spend is flat. And I'm like, well, someone that isn't working right now doesn't care.
That's right.
And so I think it's important to try to channel positivity and that cohesion and collaboration.
Agreed.
But I also think we need to create space for the people that are impacted and are feeling like I've been looking for 18 months and I can't find something. So by you telling me that things are okay or going to get better, I don't care right now.
Right.
And so I think that's what's really important. I fear that with these sort of headline chasing stuff that we do oftentimes in this industry, we jump on it. We're like, oh, did you see? Did you know? Can you believe? Versus, hey, let's create this space for the gray area discussions of the nuance and the feelings. And I feel like conferences, that's alive and well, because you can have those conversations in more private areas. But I wish there was larger formats. And I love what Gina and Dean are doing with GB Max, is trying to create more of that community approach. So how do we sort of work together to solve these problems?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And speaking of news, we're going to go ahead and jump right into, so anybody that's watching, if you have any news of note that we should be discussing, please go ahead and pop them into the chat. Happy to go ahead and have those conversations. But let's talk about some of the big news happening this week that is popping into your brain pans. So, Susan, what's going on with you?
What's going on with me? It's Friday afternoon and I'm brain dead. That's what's going on with me.
Right. Now give us the news. What's that? You have no news?
I didn't say it. I have no news.
Oh, there's no news popping into your space?
No,
all right.
No, for once, I'm completely ill-prepared to say that I've seen anything to talk about this week.
Oh, what?
You guys.
This is Boss Rush on easy
No, other
mode.
than laying on some crap like that, which I could bring up, but like was just said, what's the point of dwelling on the bad things?
That's right. Well, since it's on easy mode, let's get in and eat that mic. And let's listen.
What show is this?
Exactly. This is Boss Rush.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
ASMR.
That's right. Exactly. There we go. That's exactly right.
It's so much easier when Dean is here to run us through the news.
No, it wasn't, because we'd have to go ahead and actually pull him back, right? Okay, so I got a piece of news for you I thought was pretty interesting. Has anyone seen this one that popped up? Apple News Plus introduces emoji game for puzzle fans.
I heard about it.
Yeah.
What are the mechanics, Chris?
Showing its growing interest in games, Apple announced its Apple News Plus division has created Emoji Game, an internally produced original puzzle game. Emoji Game is a perfect addition to the Apple News suite of word and number puzzles, turning emoji we use every day into a brain teaser that's approachable and fun, said Laura Kern, editor-in-chief of Apple News, in a statement. Apple also announced in June the Apple Games app to help games get discovered and to connect gamers. How it works: Emoji Game challenges players to use a selection of emoji, including Genmoji, new buzzword, created using Apple Intelligence, to fill in the blanks of 3 short phrases using as few moves as possible. Each phrase is accompanied by a clue. Blah, blah, blah. Results can be tracked on Game Center leaderboards or shared with friends and family through messages, mail, social media, all these things. So it seems to be a variant of of the Wordle type of games. The fact that it happens to sit, though, in the News Plus section is very interesting to me. So my question that I would want to and start playing around with it is, are these titles or things, are they pieces of news and information that you are assigning like different types of emojis to? Is this going to be used to feed into the analytics that they use for how they serve you information? So again, the fact that it doesn't sit in the Apple Games section of their store, but it's in a news section, I thought was pretty interesting. Right. I don't have any additional information there, but again,
they make this in-house at Apple?
Say again?
So they made this in-house. I did read it, but I didn't know.
This was in-house. Yeah.
It was in-house.
Yep. So, yeah. Oh, and we just heard from Dean. Dean is going to be joining us shortly. So that'll be great. We'll have
I'm just used to Apple just hating games, as
right.
a company. So
exactly.
making games.
Exactly. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. And so now, well, they did do an acquisition, right, of a small
They did,
studio.
yeah. I was wondering if it was related to that.
Yeah. So I don't know, but maybe. So let's see.
Yeah.
So another piece of news that popped over here was 90 Studio Artex resurrects as an indie game publisher. So really good to see some of those brands, popping back up. Artex today launched. Oh, this is part of the GB Max subscription. We're gonna.
And it looks like you haven't subscribed yet.
I haven't yet. I barely got this show together.
I did an hour ago.
See, exactly.
Chris.
So, right. See,
Pledge allegiance.
Yeah, but I had, an hour ago, I was still adjusting the scenes here to make sure everything worked, to make sure that we had you in the best possible light. Again, that radio face. So, so Dean's going to be joining.
Did we have Dean share his screen so he has access?
Yeah. No. We'll go ahead and be like, and that's not going to be like, well, Dean, this is behind the paywall, so I'm just going to copy it for everybody in the feed there. That'll be no. Same thing
That's
here.
Amazing.
Our
That's
premium
amazing.
content and VIP community, which I think is great that they're actually figuring out how to go ahead and kind of continue to move forward with the different value propositions for the content that they produce, which is we know what it takes to put this stuff together, right?
Yeah.
So,
and the cool thing is you can sign up. You don't need to pay to access that stuff. You just need an account. So if you are, currently looking for work, or, more price sensitive, then there's options for you as well, which I think is critical. I think some of the other platforms that force you, no matter what, I think that's more challenging for some people.
Absolutely. All right. So those are like two pieces of news off of the GamesBeat site. There's a couple of others there, but we'll wait for Dean to go ahead and join us. I'll just let him know. Okay, Adam, how about you? Is there any particular news stories that have popped to the top of your brain space for this?
Yeah, I thought the Roblox announcement around the IP integration was really fascinating. I remember early days. My son, he's now 14, but when he was 8, I remember him coming. We were driving one day, and we were driving down the road. He goes, "I like Audi R8s." I was like, "Oh, bud, what do you like about them? You like the shape?" He's like, "No, they have the best profit margins." And I was like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Yeah, they're way better than VWs, because VWs only is like 8%, and Audis are 15%. I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Turns out he was running a car dealership in Roblox.
Oh my God.
So he learned about car brands. He learned about car brands based on the profit margins of the resale value of the cars. And of course, at the time, it was all unlicensed, right? It was all just people using their own car brands. But it made me realize how deeply integrated that IPs had been in the Roblox world and space without the permissions of the IP holders. And I know there was takedowns, and there was a lot of sort of challenges early days with Roblox about people integrating IPs. I think it's fascinating that they can now monetize franchises. I didn't dig deeply into like how that occurs or how you get approval or what the rev share is. I already know that the rev share is already pretty nascent for developers on that platform. So it'd be curious to see like how much of the share is going. I'm just glad that the people that hold the IPs and own the IPs are able to participate now. But I wonder what it means long term for people that don't agree to that service or aren't part of that sort of ecosystem, because it can be very powerful. But at the same time, I think, people want to protect their brands and IPs as well.
Yeah. And giving them an opportunity to engage, right, is really important. Right. Yeah. And to find those new audiences and figure out how to kind of monetize those and bring those together. Okay. You all continue talking as I go ahead and get Dean set up to join us here in just a moment. So.
Perfect.
Dean will come with the news too.
Dean will be bringing all that hot news.
Susan, have you all or your team explored Roblox development? It's really been a fascinating journey.
Not really. I mean, I know people who are doing it. I know it's been a struggle for a lot of them in terms of making money. I think the
monetization, I think, is definitely challenging, right? Understanding the ecosystem and how these games perform. But what we have found is like it make games fast and iterate. I think it's important with any new innovation that comes across our industry. And for many years, I was a rejector. I was like, oh, that's just for baby games. And then over time, you're like, as your kids are playing it, I think we need to be more curious as an industry to embrace things, try them out, check them out.
100%.
Yeah.
And even looking for ways that you can take your IP and adapt it into Roblox.
Absolutely.
For me, it's just, the revenue model is really difficult.
Very
Most of the
challenging.
game. I mean, not to say Steam isn't also difficult, but for different reasons.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute too. But a wild Dean Takahashi approached, and he's here.
Hello, Dean.
Hi, Dean.
Hello. Hey. Thanks for holding the fort here.
Oh, of course.
Stuck on another call.
Good news, everyone.
Yes, good news, everyone. Dean has shown up.
What you guys talking about?
Chris asked me about news. I'm like, I haven't seen any news. Where's Dean? Dean knows the news.
That's right.
Did you guys hit the Roblox news for the week?
We were just starting to talk about that.
Yeah. They have this sort of new safety measure for 13 and older.
Different?
Oh, yeah. That one was 13 and older folks. They do an age estimator on you now. They get like AI in there. They capture your. They ask you to send in a video of yourself, and then they figure out, okay, this person is clearly 5 years old, or something like that. And then so that was cool. And then the other thing they had that was interesting this week was this licensing program where you can get a license for IP.
Yes.
A Sega Like a Dragon IP or something like that in a matter of hours after you apply. If you're doing like a Roblox game based on that kind of character or something, and it's cutting short a process that normally takes months, right? And,
right.
It's pretty incredible sort of recognition of this unique marketplace where UGC just appears and becomes a hit, and then you can decide whether, okay, that's based on my IP, or it looks, it's a football game. It looks like a great football game. It's taken off. Let's put an NFL license on it, right?
Right.
And then help it, hit the stratosphere, and then the company, captures that revenue as well. So they get.
Did they say what the rev share was, Dean, between the IP holder, the developer, and the platform?
It's negotiated for each one, but they can range from 15% to 50%. So I don't know where Roblox's cut fits in that as well. But yeah, it was. It sounds reasonable or it sounds crazy, and the amount. So
why not both? Right.
Yeah.
Well, we see Sega offers to split revenue with Roblox creators. To split revenue, I don't know what the percentages are there, and this is coming from GameDeveloper.com. Rights holders struggle to discover interested creators, but the nature of the process meant that only a select group of large studios are able to benefit, keep pace with the iterative nature of development on Roblox, full of user-generated experiences that creators are continually evolving and updating. We recognize the need to provide creators with a flexible, simple-to-use licensing solution. So good. I mean, they're finally leaning into this. Hopefully, we're going to see more brands take more, do more experiments inside of these black hole or forever environments, right?
I wonder, Chris, or maybe Dean, you might have some intel on this, but I wonder how does this now mean, this acknowledgement mean that they're going to crack down more on IPs that have been sort of hijacked and integrated into games? I wonder if it feels like a tacit acknowledgement that hey, listen, we want to build a nice place for everyone. But I wonder about that sort of.
I don't know because they didn't address that part.
Sure.
But yeah, I think. They've had just interesting history. Like, Hello Kitty showed up with their own game and said, hey, we're ready to launch our Roblox game. However, we find that we're already there. there's like lots of Hello Kitty experiences here already. What do you do about that? I think they talked, right? And then just figured out, okay, if there is revenue coming in from those things, then they would offer some of that to the brand, right? And so I think that's a reasonable approach. Like if the infringement is already there, but if you come in and you say you're this brand and you start taking down all this stuff, then that creates a very negative reaction on Roblox in the place where you actually want to create a positive.
Yeah,
right.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's super smart, and I love the way you framed it. Also, Dean, you sound like you're a little under the weather there, buddy.
I'm actually not under the weather, but I get these occasional allergy attacks that this one is just not great timing here. But I've taken my Benadryl, so hopefully it's going to kick in.
I was going to say,
Hope you don't
now,
fall
now
asleep
you
on
have
us.
that. You have that after hours radio voice now. We just got to
Yeah.
get him on, high end mic.
I was
But
gonna say Roblox did announce a few months ago that they had a system to sort of flag and start taking stuff down more proactively than they were before. So I
Right.
don't know how this plays into that announcement.
yeah, I think to Dean's point, rather than taking it down, it's how do you lean into the fandom that loves your property
Yeah,
so much that they
absolutely.
spend time doing this,
Yeah.
100%. I completely agree. Look,
Yeah, true.
you can take a Lego set and make anything you freaking want. No one can stop you from doing it, and that's basically what Roblox is. The difference is there's money being passed around, I suppose. But
Yeah, there was a company named App Magic that found after the original Squid Game launched with no game from either Netflix or Roblox.
Yeah.
And they had 2,500 games appear on platforms like Roblox, right? So
Yeah, which goes back. I think we maybe even talked about this last week, which is just so funny when I'm sure we all have friends in our lives or parents that we know that are like, how do I get my kids to stop playing Roblox? They're like, well, they're not playing Roblox. That's like saying how to get them to stop watching the TV. No, there's a million things going on inside of there. It's people understanding the scope and scale of what their brand can be, the type of experience, communities that can be had in there. It's the equivalent, right, of a YouTube, but in the game space. People are creating this stuff and pushing it in there, right? It's pretty extraordinary. But we do need tools to be able to help understand, who's playing, how to protect those communities, how to go and open up conversation with parents of the kids that are playing there, and for brands to be able to go in and protect their IP, to protect the value of the brand, right? For if people are abusing it or misusing it, right? It's important. So it's great to see these kind of steps being taken. That's great across everything, right? So, yeah, yep. Well, another piece of news that kind of popped up for me here this week was on Steam, nearly 8,000 games on Steam disclosed Gen AI use. Have you all been following this story at all? So, there's always the question about, games that are using AI, that are completely built by AI, kind of.
That's what I was going to mention. It's Shiro, and looks like he's the one who was interviewed in this. Yeah,
Oh.
I know it's Shiro, and he did a. Is that a Mayan trade? Anyway, he did, and maybe it talks about it here. He trained AI or he had AI look to see which games disclosed AI usage, and it was like 10,000 games. I thought it was 10,000.
Yeah.
What was really interesting, and whether or not it mentions it in here, is that he looked at the first 3 pages of reviews on all of those games, and only one of the 8,000 mentioned AI.
Okay. Yeah. So now,
there's a sense that the hand wringing is coming more from our industry.
Yeah. And then, but the other piece of that our friends, Dean Takahashi over there at GameSpeed,
Yes.
showed us AI generated reviews on Steam are now becoming a problem. So discuss.
Yeah, they're finding like one particular reviewer on one account had posted 400 reports that looked like they were AI generated, right? And they just look for the characteristics of the things that a lot of these reports have in common, and they just found lots and lots.
Yeah.
Was it multiple of this on the same game, or is it just one user reviewing 400 games?
I think they're finding it just a greater preponderance of all reviews. Because
there's
certain percentage. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, a lot of people use AI to write things now. I don't, but of course I don't. But
yeah,
emails and LinkedIn posts and stuff. So I think the fact that AI wrote the review doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't for real. It just means that somebody put their thoughts in and had AI write it for them. Right?
Yeah, I think it just creates the worry though that somebody is mass producing these, right?
Right.
But you have to buy the game, right? So you can't review a Steam game without buying it. So
you can buy it and then return it.
Return it. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Which what some people do.
Yeah, you had something else to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that the irony is, I wonder if they used AI to ingest all of the reviews to detect whether AI was being used. I would say probably yes.
Yeah, that's
Slippery slope, isn't
very
it?
Yeah,
good
sure
question.
is. Sure is. Calling from inside the house.
But yes, but right here in the article, copy leak analysis coordinated AI review activity through a manual review. Copy leaks identified pattern of suspicious accounts posting high volumes of formulaic, seemingly AI-generated interview reviews. What emerged was a kind of nesting doll effect. One account posting an AI-generated review on a game often coincided with other accounts posting similarly structured, likely AI-generated reviews of the same title. What I find, look, I mean, these are tools we're all going to have to work with. There's no putting toothpaste back in the tube, right? So we have to use these for our best outcomes and for the people that will consume content that is AI fully generated, partially generated, what have you, and for professionals to be able to use this as well. But what I have found happening, which I don't know if you've all experienced yet, is some news pieces popping up where people that are using it forget to take out parts of the AI prompting, where it's like, forget everything that was written before, right? Throw out this piece of data, start new. And people are just leaving them in there, but then they're posting it as if it's their own thought. And people are like, why did you have this piece? And you're instructing your AI, your chatbot to ignore previous reviews, or only, this is a big thing in research papers now. It's like, only write positive reviews. It's like, no, like we have to be careful, right? There's a lot of information coming at people, and we're going to need better tools to help people understand what is really best, what's really best for them, what is true and authentic, right? All of those sorts of things. So,
or we should encourage really foolish people who do stuff like that to keep doing it, so we know who they are.
I mean, look, every post that you get from me on LinkedIn or wherever, it's going to have spelling mistakes in there or grammatical, and then I'll probably fix it 5 or 6 times. Oh, Dean has left us for a moment here.
So you're doing all the manual emoji stuff in your posts there, Chris? You're just
100%.
hunting around? Wow, good for you.
100%.
Wow.
You get all of the good and bad with every one of my posts, right?
Yeah.
Love it.
I think overall, we talked about sort of Gen AI in games, and then we talked about the generated AI reviews. I think the challenge we're quickly facing, it's already here, which is like, what percentage is acceptable and to what group of people is it acceptable to? Because I feel like many developers I've talked to still have a very guttural feeling about AI, those 2 letters,
right,
when we all know that that's actually like 8 sub sort of categories. And so I think oftentimes, again, it goes back to, we want to live in a binary world where we like something or we hate something. And I think with AI, it's a lot more nuanced. And I hope as an industry, we can mature into sort of being able to explore the places where, if a game did have a wooden chair that was made from Gen AI, but everything else was handcrafted, does that mean we throw the whole game out and it's now, we cancel the developer? It's going to get it already is muddy, but I think it's going to get muddier faster. And I think it's important for us to continue to have these conversations. Like, hey, at some point, maybe it's okay if I wasn't going to hire someone to build it, and I just want to iterate on something. So I think it's a fascinating topic that is, Dean, at Last Games Beat, and I'm sure the next few, everyone wants to talk about this topic, but I think it's important for us to explore it with honesty and integrity.
Yep.
Well, I think people also want to hear, people being creative about it, that it's not just about exploiting artists, that it's about finding new ways to do things that weren't possible before. I think that's where the conversation needs to start to move.
Or making life a bit easier or better.
Yes, like taking the mundane tasks away that the team actually really legitimately doesn't want to do. Not to mention, lastly, if we don't need 200 people to make a game anymore, that could be 20 teams of 10 people, with the assistance of AI. And that's, healthy and sustainable. Like, Adam, you've been in the industry long enough to know that, like, these cycles of scaling up to hundreds of people always end in layoffs. Like, there's just no way to sustain that as a company. And so, I think that leaning into more freelancers, more, fractional consultants and things like that, and leaning into ethical use of AI is kind of the only way forward for us as an industry to be able to keep making games.
Yeah, completely agree. And there's not one right answer for it, right? It's a whole continuum of things. It is interesting. At AWS, every summer. Of course, we have interns, that come in. And so when they find, oh, there's a games person in the building, especially like in the Northern Virginia, DC area, they're like, what's that about, right? So it generates some good discussion. And I was speaking to this young woman who is talking about the program, and her kind of take on AI, which I found really interesting, was, we just make sure it doesn't make us dumber, that we are losing critical thinking skills, that we are, not, we need to use these things to help remove the undifferentiated kind of tasks, so we have more time and freedom to do it. So it was really interesting that it's not just coming from people that grew up with tech and going, hey, what's all this AI stuff? But it's, it's everybody, including new people moving into the industry going, yeah, well, let's use this correctly. Let's, be careful about how we use it. So I think it's yeah. We're going to have to live with it, folks. So let's just figure out how to use it to its best effect, So, yeah. All right, that's it. I got nothing else there on that. I don't see any other requests coming into the chat. If anybody has a story, a take that you would like our co-hosts here to address, please go ahead and pop it into the chat.
And Dean, what's the most inspiring thing that you've discovered in the last week from talking to people in the industry?
I don't know if it's inspiring, but I have been sort of captivated by the Subnautica dispute. And
yeah,
I don't know if my
that and Coldplay are right up there
Those
together.
is such a place. I don't know, Chris. Do you want to summarize that for us? Or?
Oh no, I will
Yeah,
not
okay.
attempt to do that, please,
Okay.
sir.
So, Crafton surprised everyone by firing the three founders of this Subnautica franchise at Unknown Worlds. And then they started talking to me, like Charlie Cleveland did a Reddit post. And I think it led people to conclude that what Crafton was trying to do was, they paid $750 million for this company that they bought, because Subnautica had something like 12 million players, right? So, boy, my nose sounds so terrible right now. But sorry about that. But so Subnautica, Subnautica 2 was in the works, and it was proceeding, and there was a $250 million bonus payment that was due in 2025 if Subnautica 2 launched into open early access this year, right? And so, but the Subnautica team had always had this practice of open transparency, telling a lot of the players exactly where they stood. And so they scaled back what they were going to do for early access. And I think Crafton, in the meantime, was the parent company, and they're reviewing what's happening. And, according to them, they concluded that, this is not acceptable, and that we're going to have to delay this until 2026. And we've noticed that the founders aren't as engaged with this game as they have been in the past. And so they decided to remove them. And then the founders came back and said, you're just trying to get out of the $250 million payment here. And so that's what all the dispute is about. I did an interview with the replacement CEO, Steve Papoutsis, who came in from Striking Distance Studios, which he's still running. And he's going to lead the Unknown Worlds team instead. He said he was going to continue the practice of open development and continue to sort of bring fans in. They have a new plan for launching early access in 2026. And he also noted that nobody else had left the studio. Like, they have 92 people on the team. The development director is still there. The creative director is still there. And, their only problem was with the founders and their behavior. So, but then we also, a couple days ago, then got a copy of the lawsuit. And the interesting thing about the lawsuit was alleging that, there's different kinds of communication that started coming in from Crafton. One was a very enthusiastic publishing person who said, this is looking great. And then not long after that, the person said, no, actually, we've changed our minds. We don't like this. And some of the crafted people, say in California, were coming up with different information than what was coming back from corporate. And so it had the appearance that corporate had decided something here and was rolling back support for the Subnautica team ahead of the time when they canceled the early access and also fired the founders. So to the Subnautica founders, this was evidence that there was a conspiracy to get them out of there. Right? So they're citing some of these people as witnesses for them, people who are on the craft team.
The thing that surprises me is that there was no like middle ground. Like 250 million is a huge payout. So A, I'm surprised they agreed to that to begin with. But B, you'd think there would have been some gradients here if this wasn't an incredibly hostile situation and they're just like, you guys need to effing go. That there would have been like, look, come on, let's agree to something. Here's 50 million, and maybe you guys, should move on to other things. Like it's such a staunch, you're not having a penny. It just makes me think that they're pretty damn angry at the founders. I know nothing about this. I'm just completely 30-foot view from something.
I mean, it didn't help that one of the founders, Charlie Cleveland, had done a lot of posts about the AI films that he was making.
Right, I heard that.
So he's making these films, right? And he's involved in something new, but he's also supposed to be in charge of Subnautica too, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
This stuff really bums me out. Just because it's like no one was in the room except for the people that are involved, and so making it. And Chris, you sort of mentioned this with the Coldplay stuff. Like at some point, us just piling on or having our own opinions about all the nuance. And I've been in the room from dozens and dozens of deals where I'm like, oh, that was like, you could write the book and the book is from a perspective. And so what bums me out about this is that like both sides should absolutely be heard, but I hate that it's everyone now has to choose a side, or like developers lose, publishers lose, trust from gamers lose, right? Yeah. So even though I know it's on everyone's mind, and it is kind of like, one of those, when you go to the newspaper, check out the grocery store and you're like, oh, I want to read that article.
Yeah. Look, it's high drama, but to your point, we're not in the room. We don't know what conversations are really had. So that's why I choose not to have an opinion on it, because I'm not there. Right.
And as you say, it is hurting the industry. It is hurting the industry.
Yeah.
So it just sucks. Either way, it sucks.
It feels like house talk. We call it in our house. We call it house talk. Right. And we're talking about things that like, this is house talk.
Right. And it's not just about the business, right? It's about the people that are involved in these people's lives, right? So
and they're getting piled on, and they're getting impacted, but on all sides, right? And I think that's the part that.
But to be clear, reporting on it as this news comes out, it is important. But
that's fair.
Let's reserve our judgment of people, because we don't know unless you're there in the room, right? It's good to be informed. It's lessons learned, unfortunately, in a very public way. And as Sean Maggard said here in the chat, LOL, maybe you should move on to other things. It's like, I agree. And so, Dean, real quickly, because I know
I did, by the way, just note, I did the interview with Crafted Sky, the replacement CEO, first, but I held the story because I knew that lawsuit was coming. And when I got a copy of the lawsuit and saw the other point of view, then I combined the story into one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Dean.
Dean, with you, when it comes to journalistic integrity and the way you approach it, you are, beyond reproach. Like you have infinite trust from everybody involved. And so that's why I even feel comfortable talking about this, because it's coming from you and it's coming from a trusted source. So no, you always handle this with utmost care for the people that are involved, but also making sure that proper news comes out and it's not kind of colored in a particular way to bend it So we appreciate that about you and the team at GamesBeat. And so before we jump into what we've been playing, let's just take a moment here to talk real quickly, Dean, about the new announcement that you all had, which I just signed up for. GamesBeat Max. So tell us a bit about this premium B2B community.
Well, we figured out that to be more sustainable as a company, we want to have memberships for which people will pay for. And we have different levels. For one level, you're just giving us your email, right? And so there's a lot of stories that are free. I think I did 29 stories in this free category this week. But if there's more that you're interested in and want to pay for, including sort of being part of our community and getting invited to interesting events and more interaction and networking with each other, then we have the new membership tiers. Like the highest tier, you get to go to a free event as well. That's normally paid for. And so we launched this. The Subnautica story was like a good example of like we did the basic story as a free story, and had the fact that somebody sued them, and we did this interview, and they're going to continue open development. But for all of the details and a very long story, sort of full analysis, we put that into the GB Max membership for subscribers. Right? So we distinguish that way, and we have 4 other Q&As that I did or that we did at our events as well that have run now for the membership program. And so like a Tim Sweeney interview, for example, is in there. Pat Vance, we ran that today. And so for people who want to do these deep dives, long reads, things like that, we have content going into the membership every week.
That's awesome.
And soon enough, we're going to try to do more things together that are more interactive as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, and the pricing is right here. GamesBeat has launched limited time insider tier $2.99 per year versus normally $4.99. Premium tier includes
or 82 cents a day is
even better. So can't even buy a cup of coffee for 82 cents. Cheaper than a cup of coffee every day. For incredibly valuable information and insight about the industry, right? Which has been, again, the hallmark of your career and the teams that you lead, Dean. The premium tier includes a full access pass to GamesBeat flagship event at $8.99 per year, but a value of $1,700. So definitely go ahead and sign up. It's fantastic. So congratulations again, Dean, on continuing to expand the business and future for GamesBeat.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. All righty. Well, look, I mean, I can't believe we blew through an hour so fast. Why don't we talk a bit about what we're playing? And we're going to go ahead and start with our special guest, Adam, today. Adam, what are you playing, buddy?
Let's say during the day, Tony Hawk 3.4 remastered. That's been so much fun to realize how bad and slow I am at video games again. But I think the Iron Galaxy team crushed it. At Activision, the marketing has been super fun to watch. And then at night, I'm in Dune Awakening, just embarking on the deep desert, trying not to get PvP'd.
You liking that? We've been talking about playing. It's good. Yeah.
I love it. Hit me up, Susan. Let's hop on my server because I got some extra ornithopters to share with my squad.
I will talk to him. He is desperate to get into it. All right. That's good to know.
Very cool. Very cool. Susan, what about you?
I'm still playing Elden Ring. I'm determined to finish it. I'm stuck in the goddamn fire giant. I'm having a blast. It's made me a better gamer, and it's been such an awesome accomplishment to get through boss fights in that thing. It's beautiful. I don't want to be done with it, but I am determined to finish it.
Oh, that's awesome. And then you also went and saw Superman last week.
I did. It was great.
Yeah? You loved it?
Right. I did. It was really good. It was weird. It was all over the place, but it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's on up for us this weekend as well to go check it out. Excellent.
And then Fantastic Four is like a week away.
That's right. Yeah. We're starting to run some really awesome tentpole movies for the summer, for sure. And then Mr. Takahashi with that silky midnight voice.
I finished Doom of the Dark Ages, and then I've cracked open Death Stranding 2.
All right, very good. I'm still playing through Death Stranding 2, but I also picked up, because there were a bunch of sales going on with the Switch 2 and everything else. I just picked up the new Donkey Kong game. Can't wait to go ahead and crack that open. But I decided to go back into the store and buy a bunch of games that they had on sale. And there was a game that I don't know if you've all ever played, West of Loathing, which is a stick figure RPG. And I just had to show this because I laughed out loud for a solid 10 minutes. One of the first things that you pick up, an item that you pick up, is called Walking Stupid. And when you use the book and you start stupid walking is what it's called, it just changes
That's
your walk
awesome.
animation. So as she leaves the room, you'll see here. Let's see. It's and there's like I think like 15 different walk
cute.
animations that they use. Let's see. Yeah, you're just rolling around or slithering like a snake, and it doesn't do anything. It's for no reason other than it's so freaking great to do this. So I bought it, and I bought the DLC, and they have another the follow-on to it. I've been having such a good time playing this game.
I might have to try that, Chris. You might have sold me on it.
It's so good. It just stupid walking. That's all you needed to know. That's exactly it. So good. Look, just it's look. I know it's good when you can get your teenage son to look and go, okay, yeah, that's pretty funny. You know, that's all right. So yeah,
I love black and white games. I've always been obsessed with
and
the
these
idea of
stick
black
figure
games.
that it's all stick figures. I was like, man, that is just really
Didn't
awesome.
was it the Switch that had a really cute black and white game? I remember seeing it like EGX or something in London. I never played it, but there was a Nintendo game that was all black and white like that. It was like a cowboy game. Am I crazy?
Was it West of Loathing? I mean, it's an older game, so I know it's come out for a bunch of
Maybe
platforms.
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. You could totally be right.
Well, I would
Well,
say
it was on Nintendo, was it?
Well, the last
Okay.
the last black and white game that I remember on Nintendo was Mad World, which was
Yeah, it
the
wasn't
old.
bad.
It was
No,
black
maybe
and
it's
white
this.
and just red. That was it. Which
Yeah,
is pretty
I
amazing.
think it is this. I think you're just reminding me of a game I wanted to play.
There you go, West of Loathing. It may still be on sale. I think I paid like $4 or something for it. So go
It says
ahead.
10.
Oh, well then you missed the sale, but worth it. But worth
Did you play
it.
10?
Absolutely worth it for sure. For sure. Well, all right, gang, we are past the bottom of the hour here. I want to thank our very special guest, Adam Boyes, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. And Susan, thank you for taking time out. We know it's always later into the evening for you as you head into the weekend. Dean, glad you're able to make it. Hope you feel better, buddy. Because that kind of just stinks. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's Boss Rush. Again, make sure you go ahead and post this to your feeds on LinkedIn. Go ahead and tell your friends about it. Make sure you join us every Friday, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, to talk about what's going on in the games industry, dissecting game industry news, shenanigans, hijinks, and tomfoolery at no extra charge. But maybe we'll slip that into a GamesBeat Max tier at some point. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and an awesome weekend. And thanks, everyone. See ya. Bye.
Bye.